Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the NASCAR Heat 5 Career Mode. Hope you're all having a great day. Today, we have racing in the NASCAR Legends Series for the first race of the playoffs there, the Xfinity Series as they close in on the end of their regular season, and then the Cup Series starts the playoffs at Dover. So, jumping right into the action today might be another double upload day as we try to, of course, get this series concluded as quick as we can before NASCAR 21 Ignition comes out here within 12 days if you get the deluxe edition with the early access and stuff. So getting very, very close to the release date of that game. Very excited, of course, but still have to focus on our NASCAR Heat 5 final 10 races of our career mode. Our 10 episodes remain. That is pretty crazy to think now that we are in the final 10 episodes of our NASCAR Heat 5 career mode. Now, I remember last season we got to a point where we thought we were in the last 15 episodes, and they're like, oh, by the way, NASCAR 21 is actually going to be out way later than anyone expected, and then we had to add this season on top of it. So crazy to think that this season wasn't even supposed to happen either. So it's been a fun ride, obviously, and we have been competitive in that number 6 car and in the NASCAR Legends Series, where we get a 6th place finish in the first race of the playoffs. And it's pretty straightforward in the playoffs here for the Legends Series. You go straight from, I think, the final 8 right to the final 4. So right now we were above the cut line. We will check out the playoff standings at the end of the episode. Michael Cozy Jr. actually picked up the victory, but he missed the playoffs. If only he could have won one race sooner. There you see the rest of the finishing grid as we jump through into the Xfinity Series here at Darlington Raceway for the Sport Clips 200. And Daniel Suarez behind the wheel as usual here in our number 77 Ford Mustang here. And he started on the front row on the second position here alongside the number 1 of Daniel Hemrick there. And he got in the wall actually through turns 1 and 2. Made a mistake right there, but recovered really quick and actually was still able to take the lead down the back straightaway. And once Daniel Suarez took the lead down the backstretch into turn 3, it was game over. He just ran away from everybody, dominated this race. We cut straight through to the final lap through the exit now of turn 4. Daniel Suarez is going to come through to pick up yet another win on the season in our Yellow Heart car, and now, of course, give us a few more extra 5 playoff points heading into the playoffs now, as I believe there's just one race left in the Xfinity Series regular season. So definitely crunch time for anybody that has to try and get their way into the playoffs in this series, because the only way you can get in at this point is by winning. Now, as we jump through into the Cup Series here, we're actually running the OWEN paint scheme. We might actually run this for the majority of the rest of this season here, but we'll see now as we come through into our qualifying effort with a goal of a 23.813 now as we came through down this backstretch, and coming through to cross the line with a 23.051. We beat the goal big time, qualifying P3 for the first race of the playoffs. We've really been putting really good qualifying efforts together lately, and Tyler Reddick, who just missed out on the playoffs unfortunately, is going to be on pole for this race as we got all 3 Roush LeBron racing cars inside the top 10. Here is the rest of the order there. Lewis Hamilton down in P16. Whenever we get to a track shorter than a mile and a half, he really seems to struggle, so it'll be interesting to see how he overall does today as it's time to get going. 10 races remain on the season, and race number 1 of those 10 starts today here from Dover International Speedway. Now, the first race of the round of 16, and it's going to be an interesting round. You got Dover, you got Martinsville, and you got the Charlotte Roval. All 3 very strong tracks for myself. No reason why we can't go out and compete to win every single one. All right, boys, let's kick off the playoffs strong. We've been strong lately. Let's make it happen. No Latian right there in the pre-race, simply because we forgot to actually do like playoff recordings. So if we can get some, we will have some here after today's episode now. So don't worry about that too much now. You should hear him at some point throughout today's episode now. As you see, Harrison Burton crashed during qualifying for the first time in his career. He goes winless in the regular season and misses the playoffs there for Joe Gibbs Racing. Tyler Reddick on pole as we will be lining up right behind him in our OWEN Ford Mustang here. On the front row, we got the number 84 of Chris Buescher. We were trying to fight him down to win this race earlier this season, but it was Buescher able to hold on as the first race of the playoffs are underway here from Dover now, as we got a bunch of playoff drivers up here already in the mix. We got Bubba Wallace, we got behind us a defending champion of Christian Eckes, still winless Kyle Busch in his final season of his Cup Series career in the playoffs this time around. Last season he missed the playoffs. He was winless for the majority of the season, picked up 1 win in the playoffs, but obviously didn't matter to him because he missed the playoffs. So Kyle again winless this season. Maybe if he picks picks up a win in the playoffs like he did last season, that would be the perfect case scenario for him now. Maybe give him an opportunity to get to the Final Four and have a storybook ending to his Cup Series career now, as you already see Tyler Reddick in that McDonald's Ford Mustang goes up all the way to the outside, Buescher to the inside here, as I'm just following these two, knowing we have a fast car. We always have a fast car at Dover, so I was expecting at least a top 5 at the minimum today here from Dover now, as Ty Gibbs coming out of nowhere. He won at Sonoma. That's the only reason he's in the playoffs, but to my surprise, he's putting pressure on me on lap 3 here, as I'm getting a very loose right there, as you can see, and the 11 Monster Energy Toyota is going to get past me, and then he would start to put the pressure to the number 60 of Tyler Reddick here within the next handful of laps. Now we cut straight through already to the halfway point or so of stage 1, because absolutely nothing had happened. Now to lap 12, and we had all pulled away from the top 5, but then the caution had actually come out here early on in this race. Or when I said pulled away from the top 5, I meant pulled away from 5th and beyond. So now everybody's staying out because we got enough fuel to make it to the end of stage 1, and stage 1 is a very, very short stage compared to any of the other stages. So, getting ready to go green on the second row here. Unfortunately, on the outside, not a track that we want to be on the outside now, as the green flag is back out here. Buescher in command, and then you got Ty Gibbs coming out of nowhere today, having a very strong performance so far now, as we head down into turn 1 here with just a handful of laps to go in stage 1. Chase Elliott here, the regular season champion, up our inside. He is tied for the number 1 seed with Lewis Hamilton. They both have the same amount of playoff points coming into today's episode here, as we come through side by side with that Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet Camaro through turn 3, and on the exit of turn 4. So we actually are losing some time here because we're on the top, and my car was starting to really slip around quite a bit here. So we end up with now coming to the final lap down in 8th place, as they were 3 wide for the lead. Chase Elliott is going to go through into turn 1 and take the lead here in Dover. Christopher Bell just behind that number 9 car now, as we come through the exit of turn 2. A mistake right there, slip up now, and that's going to open the door for Lewis Hamilton to get to my back bumper potentially as we go down into turn 3. Elliott to the top, Christopher Bell to the inside. I mess up the entry right there and get sideways again in turn 3. Here comes Hamilton up the inside. Christopher Bell, our teammate, comes through to actually win stage 1. Eric Jones just barely gets us at the line even, and we end up dropping all the way down to 10th place and only getting 1 point in stage 1 after we ran top 5 the whole time before that caution had come out. So an absolute disastrous end to the stage for us right there, as everybody will be coming into the pit lane here for 2 cans of fuel as well as 4 fresh tires. No repairs to make or anything. I decided though, for the adjustments to the car, we were going to put up some grow tape just a little bit, as Christopher Bell wins stage 1. One stage down, 2 to go here, as we're ready to go green for the start of the second stage from Dover. Our teammate Christopher Bell might have won stage 1, but he loses the lead to Chase Elliott on the pit lane now, as we're going to get back underway for the start of stage 2 here in this first race of the playoffs. And now it is time to get amped. Overall, the car feels better, but maybe we could tighten it up a little bit more.
Alright, we can't tighten it up much more, but we'll see what we can do.
Side by side there briefly with the number 84 of Chris Buescher, as we've been struggling to get past him. Chase Elliott out in front, but now he's under attack from Ty Gibbs in that number 11 Toyota Camry for Joe Gibbs Racing here. A lot of racing left to go here in stage 2. 37 laps now. That isn't a whole lot of time at Dover. It only takes just over 20 seconds to get around this track. So, like I said, 37 laps, not really a whole lot of time actually now when you think about it. So, now on lap 6, my temperatures are starting to go up, and this has been a habit at Dover that I always forget about, is the temperatures easily skyrocket here with not a whole lot of grill tape applied to the car. So I was knowing right off the bat that the next pit stop we get, we have to adjust on that. But the caution actually comes out relatively early in stage 2, but nobody's pitting, because even if you pit right now, you cannot make it to the end of this second stage. So everybody's going to be staying out, and we're just going to have to deal with this temperature issue. Now, fortunately, the caution allows our temperatures to, of course, go back down to a nice, stable, calming position for us now, and we're going to, of course, watch them skyrocket again here after just a handful of laps in stage 2. But we should be able to get to the end of the stage without any issues from that. Now, as sometimes when those temperatures skyrocket, you notice immediately your speed starts to fall. But when it comes to a track like Dover, it shouldn't be too much of a big deal now, as it's not all about speed when it comes to Dover now, as you obviously don't need to fully worry about the actual horsepower in your car when it comes to a track like Dover. So now on the outside again, not where we want to be. These restarts have not been nice to us so far here today. Now, as we've been getting caught up on this outside each time. Now our teammate of Christopher Bell having a good run. Our teammate of Tyler Reddick, who unfortunately missed the playoffs, having a good run as well in that McDonald's number 60 car. Now as we come through to lap 17, we unfortunately get passed by Kyle Busch. The temperature icon comes back on. We got passed by Eric Jones. We go to the inside down. Actually, we're going to be able to pass the 18 and get back into the top 10. And we were trying to fight it out with some of these guys like Ty Gibbs, who had fallen down the order. I made a mistake right there. Left the door open for the 84 of Chris Buescher to go up my inside. But we just continue fighting with the 11 of Gibbs, as well as the 45 of Derek Kraus. The best runner so far for 2311, as Bubba Wallace has been off here over the last couple of races, and to start today here in Dover, obviously nowhere near the amount of dominance he had at this point last season in our career mode. Now, as we also get past 83 of Christian Eckes, get up to 8th place now, as we were getting close to pit stop times, and I decided right here on lap 25 I had a nice hole to make my pit stop. The unfortunate part was I wait way too late to slow down, and I speed by nearly double the speed limit. It was an actually awful pit entry from myself, an embarrassing pit entry. So that's not the first time I've sped at Dover. I've had a terrible history of this track in the pit lane. So I had to only take 2 tires and just enough fuel to get to the end of this stage. And I got really lucky. I was actually cycled out in P16, so we ended up only losing a handful of positions. And now Josh Berry, who had actually brought up the last caution, was staying out, and the caution comes out towards the end of stage 2. Now Barry could not make it to the end of the stage, so he has to pit, and everybody has to take the wave around, which will put Josh Berry out in front for a 1-lap dash to end stage 2. Eric Jones on the front row. Barry, by the way, is a playoff driver. Do keep that in mind. He has won 2 races at Talladega as well as Richmond International Raceway here, as we're going to be back underway for a 1-lap dash. A big stack up already, and it's actually for the 98 of Barry, who is way off the pace. He has 0 speed in that car here today. Eric Jones clear down the back straightaway into turn 3. He's going to be able to cruise to a stage victory here to start off the playoffs now, as we're alongside our rival of Logano. We're going for any position we can get, of course, maybe even somehow surprisingly get into the top 10 with the lack of speed there on the inside line from Barry being in front, but we cross the line and end up P13 here to end the second stage. So a bit of a baffling ending to stage 2 right there, and Josh Berry's going to pick up some crucial stage points that could help him in those final 2 races of this round of 16 at Martinsville, as well as the Charlotte Roval. Everybody's going to come into the pit lane except for Josh Berry, who literally just pitted. So now we're going to put 2 cans of fuel in the car, 4 fresh tires, as Eric Jones wins stage 2 in the playoffs. Final stage set to get underway here for the start of stage 3 from Dover International Raceway now, as we're going to be P13 at the Monster Mile to start this final stage. William Byron out of this race. You can see him on the pit lane as we are back underway now from Dover. Josh Berry again out in front. A huge stack up from the 9 of Chase Elliott Nixon. You know, I got my rival of Logano trying to push me all over the place here. I didn't realize he was starting right behind us here now, as he's going to give us a big shove through turns 1 and 2, and I'm over here hitting the brakes at this point, trying to not get wrecked by the 22. We make contact down the back straight with the 22 into the outside wall as we go down into turn 3. I am all over the place. I'm focusing on the 22 at this point, that I left the door wide open for Bubba Wallace into turn 3, and out of turn 4 we find ourselves side by side with him. Here comes the 22 once again as we complete this first and opening lap of stage 3, and Logano is all over our back bumper. Hits myself actually in the quarter panel, hits us again on the exit of turn 2, gets up my inside, and now he tries to turn me down the back straightaway. We hit the 83 of Eckes. He makes a tremendous save as we continue to get just bullied by the 22 of Logano, who shoves us out of the way in turn 3.
We're in no spot to fight him, man. Take care of your equipment.
not much we can do when we got the 22 just slamming us down the straightaways. We nearly wrecked Logano down into turn 1, and that actually allows him to get away from us here now, as I was committed to getting back to that 22 of Joey Logano. This wasn't over yet now, as I was fuming with that 22 at this point now, as I was just committed to get there. So we ended up passing the 66 of Sam Air for P14, and I mean, Logano's ruined our chances here pretty much in stage 3 without a caution, so I just wanted to get back to that 22, and I'm just following him through traffic. We're getting closer and closer to that back bumper of the 22 of Logano. Less than 30 laps to go at this point here in stage 3, now passing the 10 of Matt DiBenedetto as we went down into turn 1, and now we get closer and closer to that 22, and he goes to the top, I go to the inside. 26 laps to go. Lewis Hamilton leading the way here as we exit turn 2. We're going to be side by side with that 22 of Joey Logano. What is he going to do when we go down into turn 3? Well, he's going to try and pinch us down to the apron and wreck us again here now as we come through the center of the corner, nearly cleaning out the 22 right there. And I said, you know what? We're just going to stuff it up the inside here into turn 3 on him on lap 76. And if he wrecks himself, well, he wrecks himself now as we make big contacts, nearly spinning him out right there as we come through at a turn 4. He saves it. I slam him down the front straightaway on purpose at this point now as we continue up his inside into turn 1. More contact with the 22 Shell Pennzoil Ford Mustang, but he hangs on right there, but it still wasn't over. 21 laps to go. I'm doing everything I can to try and pass him on the inside, but he's making it miserable here as we nearly wreck again on the apron. I try my best to clean him out. Not successful. It's been a while since we've had a major run-in with Logano, but obviously we're having it today, so I decided to sail it into turn 3, slide job style, and hope I can keep it pinned enough to stay in front of him. Didn't happen. He just punched me out of the way, and unfortunately it didn't stick, so we remain side by side, though. I'm on his outside, and you know what? I said, let's just try and pass him on the outside. It might be a little bit easier here, but I couldn't pull that off either, so we're still behind Logano as now the field light comes on. Green flag pit stops approaching, surprisingly, here in Dover as lap traffic is in the mix. Down into turn 3, Logano trying to get down in front of me. I try to clean him out right there, then I decided we got a pit, by the way. We're going to run out of fuel, and I realized I was so caught up in trying to wreck Joey Logano that I completely screwed myself there on the pit entry. Couldn't even make it in, and then I start running out of fuel down the back straightaway into turn 3, and an absolute disaster this has turned into, all because I'm too caught up trying to wreck the 22 of Joey Logano at this point. So once again, we had to do a strategy here of just barely enough fuel to get to the end of this race and 2 tires, and we actually end up passing Joey Logano, and somehow, after all of that crap happened, we end up actually better than where we were beforehand. It was really weird, and we got passed by the 18 of Kyle Busch, and now we were trying to look to the outside of him here, but an unbelievable just kind of disaster that was with the 22 of Logano now coming up to 10 laps to go. Still P14 behind Kyle Busch. Lewis Hamilton continuing to lead the way. I was shocked that it had stayed green for this long, and now I make a move up the inside of Kyle Busch on lap 92, coming to 8 laps to go in this race, and there wasn't a whole lot of fight left in that M&M's Toyota Camry, and we would clear Kyle Busch for P13, but everybody else is too far up the road for position. So closing in on the final moments of this race, Lewis Hamilton continuing to be in control here as we're putting the number 4 of Haley Deegan a lap down. The next was the 43 of Max Gutierrez, but now to 3 laps to go. Hamilton already coming to 2 laps to go. Not the track you would expect Lewis Hamilton to come out and dominate in a final stage and potentially win, but we come through to start the final lap. Lewis Hamilton already into turn 4, and Hamilton will win the first race of the playoffs, lock himself into the round of 12 as we go down this back straightaway here for the final time into turn 3. Not close enough here to pass the 10 of DiBenedetto or the 48 of Alex Bowman. Those guys aren't for positions, but the 23 of Bubba Wallace is. But like I said, not enough. Down the front straightaway after a horrific final stage, we come through to cross the line in P13. So obviously, not the finish we were looking for here. Tyler Reddick, our teammate, ends up 2nd place. Our other teammate, Christopher Bell, ends up in the 4th position. McLaren got 5th and 6th with Jones, as well as Chase Elliott. Christian Eckes, the defending champion, rounded out the top 10 now as you see the rest of the finishing order. We didn't do ourselves any playoff favors today here, getting caught up with the 22, losing some points at the end of stage 1 and 2. So let's check out the playoff grid. So we are actually 15 points to the good after today's episode. We only gained 5 points. That's a little bit unfortunate, but at the same time, it's Martinsville coming up. It's the Charlotte Roval. Those are 2 tracks where we know we're going to be competitive and run well at. So the concern is 0 still, even if we are only 1 mistake basically away from finding ourselves below the cut line. Here you see the playoff grids for the other series, and then the Xfinity series has 1 final regular season race in the next episode at Richmond. As always, if you guys enjoyed, you know what to do. We might need to wreck Joey Logano in the next one at Martinsville if we have the opportunity, but Lewis Hamilton locked into the next round of the playoffs now, as we are still, like I said, 15 points above the cut line. As you're going to look at who's below the cut line, Josh Berry, Ryan Blaney, Sam Mayer, as well as Ryan Priester, all on the outside. Looking in before we end it, just want to say thank you to the members, by the way, as well, of MJ, Joseph 9001, Timothy Arline, Hayes Gaming, Brett Durward, Dark Gengar Gaming, Age of Asura, Russell Dixon, Kenneth Barnett, Dana9302, Speed Demon 341, Alice Emery, as well as Jay Fitz. I appreciate you guys' support so much, and I'll see you all in the next one. Have a great day, everybody.